Hello, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon Live. Especially them because you don't know how it's going to turn out.
My kids empowered me to get out.
What's going on with this remote learning in the midst of COVID?
Working for different elected officials, learning and understanding how to put the community first.
Hi, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon. So, how's everyone? Welcome, Captain Joel Parker. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
And our Dr. Allison Maurice. How you doing?
Hello.
Well, it seems like you all had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, so I guess you are hot and ready to talk tonight. I don't have a hot topic, so we want to get right to it. Now, the first topic was I was listening to this young man who had gone to prison when he was a teenager because he had killed someone, but he felt like that he should have been charged as an adult, that he should have probably been sent to juvenile jail someplace. And he felt that teenagers, even though they commit murder, still should not go to prison because he considered them as they still children, and that children shouldn't be put in prison. And that really what should be done is they should get to the bottom of why young people, kill people and get to the bottom of that first before they start putting them in prison. So what do you say? Because I have my little opinion and stuff, but I guess you already know what my opinion is, but let's hear what your opinion is. I know, Captain, that you work in corrections, so
Yes.
you know a lot of this stuff that goes on, and when the young people come into the prison, and we know prison doesn't rehabilitate you, but it's supposed to be like you learn your lesson from what you did.
Well, I'm about to tell my age, but all the way back in 1988, I remember when they changed the rules that 18 and 19-year-olds were adults. Prior to that, they weren't. And they were in with these young kids, and they were taking advantage of them. I don't think that every teenager belongs in an adult facility. By the same token, I don't think that just their age should exonerate them. I think there are layers that need to be qualified for any individual, because most of the systems are not designed to rehabilitate you. So if you're not going to rehabilitate someone that young, then all you're doing is setting them up to come out and repeat the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But something needs to happen. Something needs
I
to
agree.
happen.
I think essentially the prison system as a whole wasn't essentially built to reform anyone, honestly. It's just a place to hold, the quote unquote lawbreakers and the undesirables. At the end of the day, it really honestly needs to kind of, like you said, be like a layered kind of review, because we don't know the circumstances of which, the case happened or the incident happened, what this child has faced in their lifetime. So it does necessarily have to be a review of a lot of factors. And I don't know if the correction system can honestly, or even the judicial system, can honestly perform those kind of reviews. I think it's pretty much built the way it is. And unless we have kind of an overhaul of the system, that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Unfortunately, I mean, I hate to make this a racial issue, but
it is though.
When young men of color are picked up with drugs in past times, they were animals. They were a menace to society. They needed to go to jail. Now that other people are being caught with drugs or addicted to drugs or dying from drugs,
it's
now
an epidemic.
They need rehab. They need program. They need counseling. It's a sickness. And I've watched this, and it's amazing that more people die from drugs that they call legal than they do from the ones that are illegal.
Listen,
So
marijuana never killed nobody.
it's
It may
I
have killed a few grocery bills.
I understand what you were saying as far as is the drug things when people get caught for drugs, but I'm talking about when your
You're
family
talking about
member is
serious crimes.
murdered. Your
well,
family member is murdered. Just
here,
for instance, a couple of I think it was just last week. It was two teenage boys came into the party and just shot 6 people. Just came in and shot. These were all young people at the party, and they just came into the party and just shot 6 of them and injured 2, 3, 4. So I mean, now these victim families, are all upset, crying, carried on. But then you feel that the 2 young men who came in and did it, that they shouldn't be charged and sent to prison?
well, not necessarily. What I'm saying is, I know you said you're talking about murder, but 85% of the incidents that are occurring with these gun charges are relative to drugs. These are either drug or gang related situations that perpetuate into when we were young, we had to fist fight.
Right.
Now, everybody
They don't
just
do
has
that.
access to guns because it's quick, it's easy, and
Mhm.
it's also something they can disassociate themselves with. When you ask the average person or allow the average person to do something right up close in person, they can't do that. But if they
Right.
can do something while running, that's why
Mhm.
there's so many fatalities of innocent bystanders because they're not actually standing there taking aim at
Right.
their intended target. They're just riding by hoping they hit something.
Absolutely. Back in the day, you used to make it personal. Come shoot the fair one.
And unfortunately, the older people are setting these young people up, telling them things like, well, you'll get a youth offender. They can't charge you with this. So even if I did it, you take the rap.
Right.
I've watched young adolescents and I've watched females take charges that weren't theirs just because of the way the system is swayed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, it
Well,
really honestly
I
makes.
would say
Mhm.
like I said, when they was talking, it was him and a lawyer was talking, and the lawyer was saying that it's a case by case, but he felt like some of them should be charged as adults. It depends on the
Absolutely.
situation
Right.
because if you murder somebody, you shouldn't just be off the hook and be sent someplace where you in some juvenile detention or something like
Detention.
that. When he said because some of them know exactly what they're doing. And I feel the same way. Like some of these young people you meet, they know exactly what they're doing. They know what they're doing when they kill
If you
somebody.
look at murder
You in
cases,
a gang shootout, them other people are gang members too, and you two gang is carrying on with each other, whatever. Yeah, but these were high school students on basketball teams, good students. They was at a high school party, and so what they losing their life for? For what?
well, again, it's a layer. If you look at even the adults that are arrested for murder, the question is not whether or not they murdered someone. The trial goes on with the level of intent. What can we prove? Was it malicious? Was it intentional? Was it premeditated? Was it self-defense? Was it
Right.
justifiable? And that's adults. Young adolescents, most of them can't rationalize that far into the scenario. And again, if we're saying gang related, how did a young adolescent get involved in a gang without some adult perpetuating this? So now we're talking about the levels of responsibility wherein you have to evaluate the child to see what their mental status is.
Yeah, but
To
why?
see
I don't understand. What are you saying that you feel like that the adults and some of the parents is encouraging them to be in games? Because a
Absolutely.
lot of the time, most of the time, the
Absolutely.
parents don't even know they're in a game.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I have
I'll
I
speak
have
to the.
I have adolescents
Mhm.
coming in with burn marks on their arms,
Bodies.
signifying their gang affiliation that was done by their parents, their older siblings, and I watched it time and time and time again. So again, they're there, but are they there willingly, or are they there because they don't have a choice?
That's true.
A choice of being in prison?
Being in a gang.
Oh, being in a gang.
Right. Some of them don't have choices. Now, nobody's saying that parents are 100%, accountable or the reason why children enter a gang, but sometimes it's also, the lack thereof. You know what I mean? And that may also be because your parent is out of the home working, or, your parent may be incarcerated. You may be in the foster care system. There's a lot of things that attribute to, children joining these gangs. And a lot of it is they're looking for family. They're looking for family.
Well, I know most of the time that's what they say, that the gang group is their family.
Right.
I understand all of that, but I'm just saying that I don't feel that they should just be let off the hook.
No, nobody's saying let them off the hook.
I'm only talking about me. I ain't talking about nobody else. I would never talk about nobody else.
But nobody's saying let them off the hook.
My child or my grandchild or something like that, you are not getting off. Because I would do whatever I had to do to make sure you didn't get off.
But I
understand what's going on. I know our children need attention.
But for some of them, going to jail is not really punitive for them.
Right.
They're at home in a prison because they don't know how to cope outside. If you have nowhere to live and you have no means to support yourself, if I go to jail, they have heat, hot water, bed, food,
3 hots and a cot. That's what they used to say.
Okay, then. Okay, so I asked the question to the both of you. If you feel nothing should be done to them, so then what you think should happen?
Nobody said that. Nobody said that.
So what?
What we're saying is
hypothetically, this never happened. If that happened to your family member, what would you suggest to the judge that he do to them?
Listen, at the end of the day, when people again, it is hard to say. It depends on the situation, but as a family member, people are honestly really talking through pain. They want someone to pay for what they have done to that person. But essentially, is jail really them paying? You know what I mean? Some people have a better time in jail, or they're able to network in jail than they would out in the street. At the end of the day, is that really rehabilitating?
I said, what would you want?
It depends on the situation, honestly. But again, if you're talking to somebody who is dealing with a deep pain, they're going to be like, throw him under the bus. Bury him under the jail.
Situation. And if you told them your dollars are going to pay for it, which they are,
right?
What would you say? What's more advantageous, to spend money trying to figure out what this child's problem is, or just locking them in the box and hoping that they get better without rehabilitation?
Well, okay, then
the majority of the people that I speak to who come out of jail, they said all jail did was teach them how to be a better criminal.
Right. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable. The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Our next hot topic is, I want to know, they just made an agreement, McCarthy and Biden, on the debt ceiling, and they're still arguing and fighting about it. So the Republicans is trying to make sure that it doesn't get passed because they didn't get everything they wanted. So mostly they're kind of keeping almost what Biden had put in place anyway. The only thing they got mostly was they made sure that the rich taxes didn't get raised, so they don't have to pay more taxes than we do. So do you think we're just I think we're just on our way to hell, and that's it. So because something tragic gonna happen eventually.
We did already.
I think it's just another political game I mean, it's hypocrisy at its highest level. This is the same thing they just were putting away the CEOs and closing down these banks for, as they say, loaning money they didn't have. And all they're doing is printing money that we don't have, or giving other forms that say we can utilize it so that the economy can allegedly keep going. But it's a game.
It is a game. You know how they were demonizing crypto? The Feds dropped their own crypto November, last Thanksgiving. That's when theirs came out. So I mean, listen, at the end of the day, we're already in hell in a handbasket with this financial situation. It's getting to a place where I don't like the way it's going. I want to build my bunker and have my farmland. Live off the grid, because it's getting nuts. It's getting nuts.
Living or making cryptocurrency their official money.
Official money.
It's funny. Bitcoin did all that bouncing around. That's El Salvador. The Zanique coin is Dubai. There are so many different coins, and ultimately, these world powers are going to come together and decide which one they're going to allow to be utilized and say it's valued. They place a value on what we have. If they say the dollar is not valuable anymore, it won't be. If they say the euro is not valuable anymore, it won't be. Whatever the monetary substance is, they will dictate in their room what's in their best interest, and hopefully we can fit in somewhere in the pieces.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, it's like every time we have to agree on a budget, like you said, so now I'm really believing that is there some kind of game that we play just to get people upset and excited, and then you end up reaching an agreement just at the time the deadline is taking place, because you put out there scaring people about their Social Security checks. Because some people just only depend on that Social Security check now. And if you don't come to some agreement and they don't get their checks and stuff, what is people supposed to do? They'll be out on the street again, and you already got enough people in the shelters, and you can't take care of the people that's there now. And then they just keep scaring people about what's going to happen. And then at the last minute, they'll come to some agreement, even if it's only for a year or 2 years. Like, I mean, why are we even doing this for 1 or 2 years, that you just come to a budget that's going to make some sense?
Because whoever is in the political power, that is the game. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, they did something, and you saw all these people running out buying toilet paper, batteries, and duct tape. Because someone prompted them to do that.
Yeah.
Here it is, you don't have any food, but you're buying toilet paper. And then when you finally can buy food, you can't cook.
Exactly.
So I mean,
they had bought so much toilet paper, you couldn't even get toilet paper. They had bought so much toilet paper, the man had a store in his house until someone reported him, and they kept
and took all the toilet paper.
To buy. They market what they want us to buy. They give the suggestion. They get some Uncle Tom to say, this is what we need to do. And everybody goes out and spends all of their money to make somebody rich on a product that we didn't really need right then.
Right.
But I think some people a lot of people take advantage of a situation. Because
most people take advantage.
Toilet paper. Now, you didn't need all that toilet paper. They was getting the toilet paper so they could sell it themselves to someone else. Now, I don't know what percent you would want to do that when you know there's a shortage of toilet paper.
It's lucrative. They were selling bottles of water. They were selling cans of Lysol.
Yeah.
I was really.
This is what I'm saying. They just really go overboard. They just make everything like sometimes.
But that's a scare tactic.
The economy is based on supply and demand. So if you are in the position to buy all the supply, you can demand what you want.
Right.
Because now they need it,
Now
If
they
you
need
have,
it.
think of any of those hurricanes on those islands in Florida where they're selling a bottle of water for $5.
Yeah.
Listen,
The same bottle that
because
we
they
have
could
here
do
in
it.
California, selling it for 10.
Yeah.
Because now they
See,
say there's
the
laws
thing
against
about
price
this thing about the
gouging.
debt ceiling. The thing about the debt ceiling is, I felt like McCarthy and Biden was going to come to agreement anyway, because I feel like Biden knows them already. You know, he's from way back when he was a senator from Delaware. He knows all of them already, and they know him. So
Right.
that's what I said in my head. I said him and Biden is going to come to an agreement, even if it ain't all what they want, because he already know them. He know how they are. You know, so I think it's just like a thing that they play. You know, like the little game that they
It's
play.
a game. It's a tactic. It is a
Yes.
marketing scheme. Think of the companies who own the same company and pit each other against each other to see who you go to, but they capitalize no matter who you go to.
Right. It's like the
Facebook and
pharmaceutical company. Look at the price of diabetic medication. You know what I mean? They are, is it three of the main distributors is Pfizer, and I forgot the other ones. So you know, nothing has changed, honestly, in the insulin pipeline, that it went from $21, in some places even $9 a bottle, to the hundreds of dollars that it is now. Diabetes is now a moneymaker.
If you
It's now a
have a product
moneymaker.
that you are selling, if you have a product that you are selling at too low a rate, they will shut you down. Think of the farmers that they pay not to grow food. So they can control the supply, and then based on the demand, charge what they want.
Right.
But you see after the pandemic, everybody, even including the corner store, doubled their prices.
Absolutely.
I mean, but here's also what I like you to think about it too. It was also a hardship for them to get some of the things in stock that they needed as well.
Yes.
The increases happened on their end as well, because there were places that weren't able to source. Even for my business, it was harder for me to find certain things that were readily accessible at one point to now, like, listen, we're unable to get it from our usual distributors. We have to, you know, get it from these people. It's more expensive to get it from them, or because we're getting it farther or whatever, you know, we have to incur these different tariffs and things like that. You know what I mean? Those things get passed on to, it trickles down to till it gets to the consumer. You know what I mean? So yes,
I know one business personally. I won't name them because there's possible conflict of interest, but they were waiting on a part for one of their apparatuses. A part. It was a simple part, but they waited 6 months for the part.
Right.
The other time they would have called and someone would have showed up the next day and installed it. But they waited 6 months for a part, which then made them unable to sell a particular product.
Right.
Because they didn't have that part. 6 months.
Listen, Samsung was going through that same issue. Samsung was going with that same way with their chips. They weren't able to source as many chips for all their phones. You know what I mean? So they had to end up, I guess, downsizing their flagship phones. But it was a problem for everyone. You know,
and that's when you find out how many things are actually manufactured in China.
Bingo bongo.
And being private labor as American.
Now that's another thing I want to get to the other topic, but this is another thing I have to talk about China. They make products for the whole world. This is what I couldn't understand. I didn't understand it because I'm saying to myself, how every time you pick up something, a souvenir
made
or
in China,
it says made in China. I mean, even, look, as rich as Dubai is, when they tell
it's
me
made in China,
I picked the thing up and turned it over. It said
made in
China.
China.
Like, now, why would I be buying this to take
because
back
you
home
have no other options?
And it's not even made over here in Dubai.
You have no other options. Everything is made in China.
Somewhere else that you see souvenirs and stuff. I don't get that. How did they get to make everything for the whole world?
They have cheap labor.
Bing, there you go.
And they have labor that's so cheap
you
that
can't beat it.
corporations can afford to relabel it. under their label. So you
Yep.
think it's theirs. And what tells on them is when they go to try to replace it and they can't.
And they
Well,
can't.
see, I can understand maybe the countries that don't have a lot of money, but a place like Dubai that's filthy rich, and you don't make your own souvenirs and stuff.
It's
That's
cheaper.
what they got to get.
Rich by buying cheap and selling high.
And selling, right. Because that's how everyone got into this predicament in the first place. It was much easier for them to move their factories from the United States to China.
Or
But, see,
Mexico.
but the United States really now, I can't understand a big country like the United States and everybody.
Which means it's a capitalistic country. That's exactly how we got in this predicament.
But I'm saying, how do you don't have your own manufacturers to make what you need? Because when the pandemic hit, I was totally shocked. Like,
because Americans are not going to work for that money.
Get a ventilator? There wasn't nobody over here making ventilators. You had to have 4 of them.
Americans are not going to work for that amount of money.
They barely want to work for the money they get now. Sorry. That's what
I spoke to somebody today who told me that there are some places you can go and buy a house for $5,000 or $10,000, a whole house.
A whole house,
where's
ready
that
made.
So this way I can get to go. Let me tell me so I can get there to
I'll
get that house.
I'll send you the links.
Anyway, we got to keep up with what the government is doing, so we make sure we have somewhere to stay and some food to eat, because the way things are going now, with all this arguing back and forth and who's gonna do this and who's gonna do that, I don't know where we might end up. So I'm just saying, keep your eyes open. And make sure you keep your pocketbook closed. So we want to thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Captain Joel Parker and Dr. Maurice for joining us tonight for our Hot Topic session. So make sure you like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. Do it now so you don't forget. And you can always watch us every Saturday at 5:30 on Brick Arts Media, and also Manhattan Neighborhood Network at 2:30 every Saturday. So thank you for joining us. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Today's show is sponsored by Abu's Bakery. If you have a sweet tooth, stop by Abu's Bakery for some delicious cakes and pies.
Do you like beautiful pictures for your home or your office? Then stop by Space Art Gallery. They have a large selection of pictures from around the world.
It's Shana.